I hope you're well. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit, so I apologize if it gets a little shaky at your end there for a minute. I have, I'm setting this camera on the camel. You know, it's a normal thing to do, right? I have this great Egyptian sort of theme here, and I thought, well, what a great place for me to stand by and kind of chat. Okay, here we go. I think I can chat now. But for all of you watching right now, just know that you're actually inside of an Egyptian diorama, a very, very cool one. Before we get going on today's live chat, I thought I'd explain to you kind of what the purpose of this live feed is, and then give you a little backstory into me, in case since you guys don't really, a lot of you don't know me really, know me personally, you might be surprised at some of the things that I'm doing. So, I had recently announced, I'd recently decided, and I guess not so recently, I was slowly starting to think about maybe doing something different. I wanted to kind of change my pace up a little bit. And hi, Matthew Fox. Thank you. Our moderator, Matthew's with us today too. I wanted to do, every single video that I had says, I used to say, my name is Alex Archbold and I follow my dreams and open an antique store. You know, I guess, and that's where, you know, you can have dreams and then live your dream and decide that maybe your dream can shift because you have new things opened up to you. And when I announced that I was closing the storefront, and I'll be very clear, closing the storefront, not closing the business, Curiosity Incorporated is still staying a company. We are still retaining the name. That's why we didn't sell it as an antique store. We're staying on as Curiosity Inc. for social media, for buying and selling stuff, and for auctions. So for those purposes, we're still a business. I just won't have a storefront. And so when I announced this, a lot of people, they're like, this must be a joke, or this can't really be happening. Why on earth would you do that after you tried so hard? And I'm here to tell you why and to answer those questions for you. But before I get into that, I wanted to share a story with you, I guess. A little bit of backstory on my life and kind of where I've gone. So many of you know that if you've been watching the intros, you know that I started buying and selling antiques since I was 9 years old. Now, that was twofold. One is that I love history and I love antiques and I love collectibles, and I probably always will. Old cars, that's probably pretty obvious, and I've always really enjoyed that side of the industry. What you don't know is the reason why I started buying and selling antiques at such a young age was because my folks were having some challenges and they could have used a little extra money. And so I started buying and selling antiques to try and bring a little extra money in. And also so that it was nice to have my own money coming in. And so, yes, I bought and sold antiques, and I used to dig through garbage cans and stuff, you know, looking for people's broken toys and try and fix them and go to garage sales. And some of that, actually a lot of that was necessity. Right up until the time I was in my teens, if we needed money, I knew that if my family, as in my parents and my brother and I, if we needed money, I knew that if I had something I could sell, that we wouldn't be stuck. Whether it was a guitar or whether it was antiques or things of that nature, that there was always sort of like a safety net to know that I could take it into, at the time they had a place called Cash Canada, which was right by the apartment we lived in. If you needed money for rent or something, you could just take stuff down there and get rid of your CD collection or your guitar or whatever. And is just breaking up a bit. Is that true? Or you guys? Okay. Can you guys hear me all right? Just give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear me okay. So I hope that it's coming through okay. Anyway, I'll try and stay still and hope that the live feed continues on. Anyway, I'll look back. Very choppy. Okay, hang on. Breaking up, everybody's saying okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. Tell me if it gets any better. For those of you watching this later, now I got to find a new spot to put my to rest this. It might actually have to go inside of a china cabinet so I can rest this somewhere. Okay, hang on. Is that better? Is that any better, guys? Let me know. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Anyway, right now you are sitting amongst a bunch of teacups. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to continue on from this location and hope that you guys can hear me okay. What I was saying was that buying and selling was always sort of a thing that I had to do out of necessity. It was a thing that was important for me to have, I guess, sort of a nest egg, some things that we can buy and sell to try and make sure that my mom and dad and my brother and everybody could all be looked after. And so I developed this skill where basically I would go around and I'd buy things and I'd read textbooks, I'd read old price guides, and I'd try and learn what stuff was so that if I went to a garage sale, I would know what to look for. And then it got to a point where I kind of had laser vision and I could just walk around within 5 seconds and basically find what the most valuable things were in a yard sale. So I opened up a little booth at an antique mall, and I was selling out of an antique mall for a while I had a job as a retail manager. But that wasn't actually my first career path. That wasn't the thing I wanted to do with my life at first. I wanted to work in the movie business. And so I got a job when I was 17, right out of high school. I was 17 years old. And I got a job working on a TV show called Viper. It was about a Dodge Viper that drove around and transformed into a tank, basically. It was put out by, I think Chrysler sponsored it. Anyway, it was a thing. Chrysler. Some people say Chrysler, some say Chrysler. Anyway, so I was 17 years old. I was working on a movie. I worked on a movie with Jack Palance called Ebenezer. And I was just a kid, just a 17-year-old kid. And I think that's the same exact age that my son Steven is now. He's 17 and in high school, and I was 17 because I started school early. So I graduated when I was young, and I was working a full-time job on a movie set. And I wasn't even old enough to go to the wrap party. They had alcohol and stuff there, so they said I couldn't go in because I wasn't old enough. So for me, that was my first foray into it. And I did that. I worked on movie sets for about 10 years. And at that time, if you would have asked me, I would have said that working on movie sets was my dream, and how lucky am I, and how fun it was. And it was a great career to have at the time. But from 17 to 26 or 27, that really changed. And what changed was that I got married, and we found out we were having a kid, and I wanted to be home more, and that job took me on the road an awful lot. And so life changed, and I moved things, and I left that industry. I quit working in film cold turkey. Basically, I left, and we opened up a toy store at West Edmonton Mall, and I ran my own shop at one of the world's biggest shopping malls for 5 years. And we did that. And the time came when it was our lease could not be renewed, and I had to find another job. And so it went from being in the movie industry and leaving on my own free will, of course. And there was a time when I was living in Winnipeg and a location manager that I was probably one of the busiest location managers, one of the busiest guys in production out there, working on sometimes 3 shows at a time between wrap and production beginning on the next. So I was very, very busy and definitely felt like I was on top of my game. But I knew in my heart that it was more important for me to be a dad to my son and to find something I could do that would keep me around home versus being in the industry. And so I walked away from that. I walked away from that industry. I don't have a SAG card. I was a member of the Directors Guild, for those of you that are asking those questions. And so when we shut down our store at West Ed, and that store was trickier because our rent was incredibly high. I loved being in the retail side of things and creating an environment for people, but it was very, very stressful. And so when our lease came up, we decided just to close, and I ended up taking a job as a retail manager. And I wouldn't say that that was my dream career, but I enjoyed it, and I worked my way up to becoming a district manager. So I looked after 28 stores. I was a department store manager for the Bay, and again for Target, I was the store manager for them. So I worked my way up fairly high in the world of retail. And I have an excellent film resume, and I have an excellent retail resume as a result of it. And I got to experience all these great things, which set me up for success with my store here. And so when we opened the store here, I knew from experience having a store before that I didn't want to pay rent. I wanted to own my own building. And I knew from working in film that maybe there were some creative ways to advertise. Thus, the YouTube channel came around and you guys are all here. But as things progress with the storefront, now I'll talk about the store itself. The store is doing just fine. There's a lot of folks that come in and shop. In fact, the store is quite full of people right now even. There's probably, I don't know, maybe like 10 people sauntering around out there, and we're just down to the front part of the store right now. They can see me talking. It looks like I'm talking to a china cabinet right now because they can't see the phone. They'll be like, what's this guy doing on the other side of the door? But as the store progressed and we started developing a client base in the neighborhood, our walk-in traffic started to shift more towards general store type goods. So that would be like, the jam, the coffee, the tea, and all that. And I quite like having that stock because it helps support local vendors and community. And the antiques were more or less sitting and kind of hanging around the shop. So at the end of the day, I found that I was warehousing probably 90% of the antiques just to sell at auction. And I was becoming more of what you would call like a novelty or gift shop or a general store, which was fine. But I really wanted to, my dream wasn't necessarily to have that type of shop. And so it came to a spot where I was sitting here and I was working the store. And many of you who called me at the store could hear me ringing through sales and selling candy to local kids and stuff. And it was wonderful. But I guess the emotional impact of a couple things. One is having my dad pass, who is my collector buddy. I used to go with my dad all the time when we look for stuff. And then having Dave pass away, who was also not just my father-in-law, but also a very good friend, who was very supportive and would help me and come out with me and do stuff. Having some people very close to me pass away and having to clear their estates. And then I guess the last 5 or 6 years clearing people's houses, whether it's been a hoarder house or otherwise, you start to feel like the weight of all these objects is actually holding you down a little bit. Teresa, thank you very much for the super chat. And I will get to Q&A in a minute or so here, so bear with me. I will get to Q&A. So I was feeling kind of more, I guess, stressed about owning this much stuff. I was stressed having all this inventory in the store. And at the end of this video, I'll walk you around and I'll show you all the stuff that's here. It's a lot of stuff. And I just really wanted to simplify my life. And Melissa and I were kind of talking about maybe listing the building for sale and thinking it might take several years before we had an offer or bite, or maybe renting out the space. And I was thinking about sort of downsizing what I do at the shop for a little while, because being surrounded by so much stuff was making me feel like I was drowning a little bit, and frankly giving me anxiety. And maybe I do have some kind of, I will admit openly, maybe I have a mental issue or something going on where I actually feel like I just have to get rid of stuff. I don't want to own too much stuff. And so it was time for me to just start thinking about what was really truly important. And frankly, it's not important to me to own a whole bunch of things. I do love old cars, and that will become part of the YouTube channel going forward. And as we progress, you'll see that I will probably pick up a couple other old vehicles too. And the goal for that is when I'm out and I'm cruising around and I'm visiting other places, that I want to take a different car almost every time, and that'll be part of the video. Kind of like comedians in cars getting coffee, where you drive a different vehicle for a show. So there will be a few old cars in my life. That's a lot easier to manage than having thousands and thousands of small stuff around the store. And so where I am right now, it just basically feels freeing. I feel so much lighter and so much happier knowing that all of this stuff that I've been collecting for the last number of years is going to be going to new homes. It's going to be, it was a lot of money tied up. I mean, I'm talking, well over 6 figures, possibly multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up in inventory that I have to sell. And that's a lot of money just sitting around waiting. A lot of money for me to be heating, paying electricity for, to be showcasing, just for things to sell very sporadically. And what was selling regularly, like I said, was the coffee, the tea, the jam, and all that. So it was just time for a change a little bit. So we were planning on this as being like a two to 3 year sort of plan about maybe winding the business down a bit and kind of doing more of the online stuff and more of the YouTube. And I guess what happened was we had tenants that wanted to rent the shop out for ice cream on the other side. Somebody else wanted to rent our current side, and I was like, well, we're kind of using it right now. And they basically said, well, what if we bought the whole building? And so we had an offer come in on the building, both sides, of which they made an offer. We accepted. It's pending right now. It's not a done deal by any means, but it's pending. And so the minute, a lot of you were saying, well, you're closing your shop just after you rent out to the ice cream place. Did they know? Yes, they did know. As soon as I found out that the building might be selling, I called them immediately and I said, I want to be honest. I want to be upfront. I want to tell you what's happening. They love the space so much that they are completely happy. They'll have a very good business in the ice cream shop on the other side. So whether it's me here or whether it's anybody else, they'll still do quite well, and I'm confident for them. So we were very upfront and clear, and we communicated with everybody. And right now we're in the process of just seeing, is the building going to sell? But either way, they gave me a possession date of end of May. So by accepting that offer last week or whatever it was, I had to make a decision that I was going to close the store either way. So what it did is it took a 2 or 3 year plan that Melissa and I had, and it just bumped the time frame up to like 2 months or a month even. So the goal shifted, the goal changed, and we're rolling with it. It's not necessarily me having ADD or whatever. Somebody said, you must have they thought my brain was broken, which it might be. But it's not about that. It's that this plan we had in place long term just the time frame got tightened up because of the offer that came in. A feeling is right. A move that you're making in your life is right. It's the first time I've had a full night's sleep in probably months. It's the first time I've had actually a good night's sleep. And not only did I have a good night's sleep, I was able to wake up rested this morning. I got up on my own, 6:30 a.m., no alarm, and I was ready to go for the day. And I just felt like the weight of the world has been lifted off my shoulders. And so for many of you all that are watching at home, you've probably noticed that the channel is still making videos, and I'm still going on adventures, and I'm still doing stuff. For the 90% of you that watch this and may not have been coming through the store, it won't change for you guys at all. But there was so much, there were so many comments that people who were either getting to this late or didn't understand why, that I felt the need to sort of address it again. But I can tell you that this is probably about the third major career shift, or the third major shift I've done in my life. And I've learned all along the way, and I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't change a thing. It's taught me many, many lessons, including, having bad bosses in the past, teach you how you want to treat people in the future. And I am excited for the auction sale that's coming up. I'm relieved that I won't have all this stuff anymore. In fact, I'll probably have to do 2 or 3 sales to clear it all. But it is going to be absolutely fantastic. Sorry, there was a super chat there. Linda is asking if I have Viewmaster reels. They'd be interested. There's probably some Viewmaster stuff going through the auction, yes. Okay, so Nancy says, that's how I felt about my divorce. that you didn't need all that stuff, or you didn't need them. Anyway, let's see. I will try and answer some questions now. So if you guys have any, this is time for Q&A, and then I'll do a little tour around the shop about what I've been up to here. Do you know what the new owners are going to do with the space? I believe that they wanted to have it sort of as like a health shop where you can come in and get like face creams and lotions and I don't know, all that kind of stuff. And possibly do treatments in the back. They work in a clinic. Whether that, and that deal isn't totally done. So if they end up not taking the space, we will probably just find, another tenant or do something different with the space. So we're not too worried about it. Let's see. So people say that's a lot. I'm a follow, would never want to own a business. It's not so bad. Yeah, apothecary. Basically, they want to open an apothecary here, and they actually like they like the building just as it is. Laura says, does this mean you'll start managing your own social media? No, not Facebook. Basically, I manage my own YouTube. I manage my own Instagram. Facebook is the only one where there's a company that posts recycled videos for me. That's it. Otherwise, I post on there too. It's so by managing my social media, I've always managed my social media. I just have another company that basically posts videos for me there. That's it. Let's see. Anna's asking if Melissa will still be teaching. Yes, Melissa will still be teaching. Will you miss the shop? Here's what's funny is that when I came into this, I thought that I would have loved to have been surrounded by all these crazy things and that I would miss the antiques, but I won't. I'll miss the children coming in. I'll miss being part of the community in that way. Kids would fall off their skateboards and I'd go and I'd bandage them up and send them back off on their way. I felt like a second dad to them, so I will miss that. Gail Johnson says, I hear you loud and clear. It makes sense to make this move now. Anxious to see what's next. You're not crazy, you're brilliant. Well, thank you, Gail, for that. Again, there are many people out there who kind of understand where I'm coming from. And in business, you can't be too emotional about things either. You have to really do what's best. I think back on how hard it was to get this building zoned, and me having to get dressed up in a suit and bow tie and go to City Hall and stand there in front of the City Council and plead my case to get it zoned back. I think about having to go on the news and basically do a letter writing campaign to allow them to put the building up. But a lot's happened since then. My priorities have shifted. My need and my want to own all this stuff is really diminished. And I found myself getting really fussy with what I want to carry. I'm really after just really cool, weird stuff or things I have an interest in. And so I want to focus more on family, more on taking them on adventures and having fun. And strike where the iron is hot, Jim says, which is a great expression for a blacksmith. Some of the shelves will go to the our basement, I think, for storing stuff on, like just generic shelves that I have here, but the new ones they actually want to stay with the building. Is your new house paid for, and did your old house sell? Yes, my new house is paid for. So we don't have a mortgage or anything like that. So it means that our expenses are manageable for the new property. And our old house did sell, and they take possession actually potentially the same exact time that this store would go. So I'm kind of stressing about that our possession on our house is May 31st. Possession on this store is potentially May 31st. So it meant that if I didn't move quickly now and get the store more or less taken care of and emptied, I would be moving my whole house and moving the whole store at the exact same time. And for those of you that watch the channel and know me, you know that I'm fairly organized and I do plan ahead. So I decided to do this auction sale to clear the stock out so we could be done the auction sale at the end of the month. And then I can transition over to moving our house over that same month. Will you be taking down the burlap sack ceiling in the store? No, they want the burlap sack ceiling exactly where it is. If Josh feels the need to take one of the burlap sacks down that he rode on, he'll have to bring me another one and replace it. But other than that, no, they like the building just as we built it, which is nice. They were in love with the new addition. Everybody loves the tile, the controversial black and white tile everybody loves. I do have an eBay store. I don't use it a whole lot. I much prefer actually just selling through local auction because they do all the local auction house does all the shipping and everything for me, and it takes a lot of stress off of my plate. I do not want to be shipping 3,000 items out of my store next week. I'm glad to have the auction house be able to take care of that. Let's see. I'm just going to read some more comments here. Will the canoe light fixture stay? No, it's gone already. The canoe fixture is gone. I've been working fast, guys, getting rid of shelving, showcases. All the big stuff had to go first. All the little stuff goes at auction, and then will be thinned right down to a manageable amount. So it'll be hopefully easy for Melissa and I to clear out the shop near the end. Are you keeping guitars for your shop or selling them all? All the guitars are in the store are selling except for one. I'm going to keep the Gretsch New Yorker that's back there for myself because it's a great guitar. Bruce gave me the rolling eyes look and says, is flipping houses a big part of your business? Well, not yet, Bruce. he's giving me like, oh brother, like you flip houses. That's the thing. My business can be whatever I want it to be. If I want to buy an old house and do a video series on it and flip it, then that's what I'll do. If I want to work on a Volkswagen van this summer, that'll be my business as a business to buy and sell, to fix up, to flip, whatever it is. Thank you so much. Our friend, the Numas Maniac, wrote me. He was the Santa Claus that was on camera that one time. Nice to see you with us. The shop is not designated as a heritage building. It's on the list, but it's not on the official register yet. A lot of people asking about Hans and Josh. If I start doing more of the renovation series, and if I start doing more of the like buying a crazy old house and fixing it, which is actually something I really enjoy doing, then yes, I'm hoping that I would have an opportunity to have Josh and I almost said Zoltar. Josh and Hans back. Zoltar is, he's a chatty guy, but not a great worker. So yeah, we'll be doing that. The stained glass piece that came from the Potter's house and the one that was made by Austin will be staying with the building, yes. Let's see. Yeah, Joni Johnson says, I love your answer. My business can be whatever I want it to be. It can. I made sure before I did all this, I talked to my accountant about what would be required. And absolutely, you can be a store. You can be a business, not a storefront, but I can be a business, buy and renovate a house and sell it. You just have to pay your tax on it, just like anything. And honestly, if there's something that I've really learned about myself is that I love finding things I love finding antiques and treasures buried in boxes and basements, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it. The other thing I really love is I love oh, Teresa, thank you so much for the super chat there. Thank you. The other thing that I really love is seeing things get better. Whether it's an old car, whether it's an old toy. You've seen me renovate sometimes toys, or a whole building, this building that we're in, or houses. I think my true passion in life is probably just bringing things back to life again. And so, I will be planning to do more things that fill me with joy throughout the time. Let's see. Treasure hunting, renovating combined, hoarder house. Yeah, I'll find a hoarder house if I can again. Okay, I'll try. All right, I'll try and answer some more questions here in the last little bit. Somebody said vet with a question mark. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, the real estate market did go up in Edmonton, and yes, we will have recovered the cost of the construction and the original purchase price of the building, so we'll be okay. Let me know if you pick any Hot Wheels, our friend Dave says. Marie has asked many times about Zoltar. Zoltar actually left the building this morning. Zoltar exited stage left and found a new home this morning. We had a local customer that came and picked him up. So I had the sad, fond farewell to my good friend Zoltar, and he got hauled away in a truck earlier today. Denise says, no hoarder houses. No, I would do a hoarder house, Claire, is what I'm saying. I would probably have to be a little more careful with my respirator mask, though, because I was coughing for probably 4 months after Mary's place. Yeah, and what I really want to do and continue to do with the channel is to also help other channels that are growing and other businesses that are growing, such as visiting Swish or visiting Strong's Garage. The more I can visit places that are amazing and cool and people who are doing really interesting things, that really appeals to me to not just see these places, but to hopefully help them with their YouTube channels and their business as well. Let's see. Joni's asking a very good question. Will I get a new mailing address? Yes. In the next week or so, I'll be signing up for P.O. Box. So I will have an official P.O. Box for the store as well. Teresa, yeah, Zoltar sold today. He's gone. Somebody's asking about, what about the red lines Alex picked up? Alex sold, I sold all of my red lines to make a payment on our house for the construction because I didn't want to have a mortgage on our house. So I sold almost everything I owned, the Rolls Royce. I sold everything that basically a lot of my collectibles and stuff went to pay down the house. And I felt that was the right thing to do because then you don't have interest and all that stuff. Anyway, but now the house is paid and we're earning money still and all that. I will probably, I'm going to get a couple of other old vehicles, and I'm going to try and build up my collection of Redline Hot Wheels. So that's the goal there. Let's see, somebody said, did Mary Borgstrom's house help you to come to this conclusion? I think multiple houses like Mary's made me come to this conclusion, to see the end of so many lives and to see so much stuff that family members are just frankly burdened with. If you've not had, many of you probably have had to deal with a family member's estate or have had to deal with clearing out a property. And it's emotional and it's draining and it's a lot of work. And I was finding myself that the store was going to be a major issue. Not that I'm not planning on anything happening to me, but if something ever did, I wouldn't want my wife and kids to have to go through the process of all that. And so the person who knows best how to sell it is me right now. And like I said, it feels freeing and it feels lightening and it feels like a big stress off my shoulders that I don't have to worry about leaving all of this mess for my wife and kids to have to deal with, and also to have more time with them too. Somebody said, what about beekeeping? You talked about that. Yeah, I hope not. I mean, I like honey just fine, but I think that's a big job to keep bees. What will we be working with from? What will you be working with from now on? Sylvia asks. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You mean what will I be doing for work from now on? I've been a very careful investor in a lot of the things that we have, enough so that I can take a little bit of time and sort that out before I have to stress about earning a wage. Melissa is still, of course, teaching, and we do actually derive revenue from YouTube as well. So YouTube is a full-time job. When you see us do these sponsored videos and things like that, that's how YouTube creators earn a little extra money. And every so often, once a month, we do a little sponsored ad. That's even enough to keep us going for a while. So I'll still keep doing YouTube. I'll still keep doing that. And I will still keep buying and selling to earn a little bit extra money on the side. But I would not be making a decision like this if I hadn't thought very carefully about making sure I saved enough money aside to look after my family. Trust me, that's the most important thing. And if it ever came down to it, I would get any old job I could to make sure that we were making our rent and not rent, but paying the bills and everything in the future. So I will do whatever it takes to make sure my family's looked after. But for right now, it's just time for a change. When will we see what's buried in the backyard of my house? I don't know. Maybe that'll be an episode this year. We have a secret hatch in our backyard that's filled with gravel. So maybe if I feel motivated, maybe I'll start digging that through. We would like to travel, but as Melissa says in the comments there, traveling right now is a little daunting. We have a whole house to move. We have a whole yard to landscape. But we will take you guys along for the adventure, whether it's fixing an old car, buying antiques, doing, landscaping, all that. You guys are along for the ride. Let's see. I had a friend at church who passed with no family and took the task to empty his apartment. It was a monumental task and didn't even have that much. Yes, it's a lot of work. But I think more importantly, you start to realize that you don't take any of this stuff with you when you pass. I mean, you can leave things for your family, but a lot of times family members have no interest in antiques and collectibles, unless it's like grandpa's military medal or something. People are not as interested in the stuff you're interested in. And so I think that by me getting rid of a lot of this excess stuff, it'll really, really be a good idea, as Annika says, to tighten up, to lighten the load at the store, and to just do things that we really love and enjoy. Was the daily retail grind a big part of your decision? Not really. I only worked at the store 2 days a week. I only worked here Tuesday and Wednesday, so I wouldn't say that the grind was part of it. From a business perspective, it just meant that the business was shifting towards more of a general store, which was fine. But I felt myself just really wanting to be out there, like the kid in the classroom looking out the window, wanting to go play. I want to get out there and play and do stuff. And a lot of the antiques would sell rather sporadically as opposed to the newer stuff. And being an antique store, so to speak, it makes more sense for me to kind of free up a lot of cash and get rid of this stuff now and just really fine tune the sorts of things that I sell. Oh, a lot of people were saying, we noticed in your last video, the Volkswagen camper wasn't in the front yard of our house. You might have noticed that the Volkswagen Westphalia that we purchased was no longer the property. I didn't sell it. It's actually getting mechanical work done right now, so it can become a driver. I'm hoping to do some travel, maybe a little travel vlog, go to the mountains with it, maybe go camping in it. So I'm getting it geared up and ready for summer, so it's in the shop getting some mechanical work done right now. I'll give you guys an update on that soon, but I still have the Westphalia. Let's see. Somebody says, well, I would have liked to come to see you, but didn't have a chance. I will probably still plan on doing meetups in different towns or in Edmonton even, and just say, hey guys, anybody up for going for coffee? And then if anybody watches the channel and they're in the area and they just want to get together and chat, we can do so. And if you're interested in some of the products that we have at the store, there will be an auction sale happening soon. So I'll try and answer a couple of questions for you guys before I move along and do a little store tour of what I've been up to here. Pat says, I totally get it, all the power to you. Thank you so much. Let's see. Why do people make that noise when they're thinking? I just did it. Blacksmith gates. I've asked Jim, who's on the chat right now, to pause on the blacksmith gates right now. He's finished the 2 major panels, of course, which I'll pay him for. But that wasn't part of the arrangement with buying the building, so I need to talk to the new owners and see if they'd like to continue on with getting them finished. Okay, and some of the questions you're asking have already been answered on the live feed. Oh, Jim Wadsworth, thank you so much. Very kind of you, Jim, for the super chat. You didn't even ask me a question. Let's see. So I'm going to maybe take a moment now, and I'm going to walk you through what's going on in the store. So this whole week, I've been super busy inventorying all the stuff that has to go from the shop. And it's a lot of stuff. It's almost 3,000 lots altogether. So here we go. I'm going to pick you up. So bear with me here. Don't get stomach sick or seasick. But as you can see, World War I invalid feeder. They actually use these in World War II as well. The Art Deco Nippon ware, tea and sugar sets. There is a lot, everything. Old cameras. The Cubist chess set from the 70s. This came from the art gallery that I got that Picasso vase from. Frankenstein, old telephones. And as I walk through, you kind of see if it has a yellow tag on it, that is the requirement for auction lots. So there's Stratocaster guitar, there's old 40s and 50s Silvertones and Ks, a 30 Stella. this crazy double neck Starfire guitar, which is like it's a 6 and 12 string guitar in one. Lots of turntables and stuff. So I've been going through and organizing all this stuff this past week, and let me tell you, it has been a real ordeal. Even my movie theater lady, she used to sit on the other side of the shop there, and I used to put displays on top. But she's a life-size lady that came out of a movie theater. But look at all this stuff. It feels to me like I've actually been setting up for one giant antique show, where I've been finding all the coolest stuff I can, and now it's time to really show it off. And so it becomes a time where all these dioramas find a new home. So Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, we'll have to break up the happy couple. Puzzles, boxes full of comic books, which I think I pointed out before. Some of them going back to the 70s. That's all going. The Philco Predicta TV in working condition is going. Antique radios. This is a 1700s English desk, which is kind of covered in stuff right now, but is an actual bureau, like a drop-down desk. There's a specific name for it, which is escaping me right now. Maybe a secretary desk or along those lines. Anyway, that's going. Old movie theater lights, typewriters. The more I look around, from Cobra Movement art, original signed pieces, original artwork of fighter jets, Seals and Croft posters. This painting back here actually came out of Mary Borgstrom's house. That barn painted piece, I'll see if I can get a better shot of it. That was in Mary's house. That was behind her door. That's one of the paintings that came out of there. It's actually a really nice watercolor. Or if you feel like you need to have an old, this always made me laugh a bit. It's an old poster. It says, "Beware of chance acquaintances." And you see the guy there looking all shifty. And it says, "Pickup acquaintances often take girls out riding to cafes and to theaters with the intention of leading them into sex relations. Disease or childbirth may follow. Avoid the man who tries to take liberties with you. He is selfishly thoughtless and inconsiderate of you. Believe no one who says it's necessary to indulge in sex desire." And it's dated 1926, the Canadian Society for Social Hygiene. I don't know. I think they're both into it. Anyway. So the auction house is going to be coming and photographing everything on Monday. And then all of this stuff that I've been buying and collecting and putting together is going to go find new homes, from the ancient daggers and swords to comics to even Tom Corbett's space helmet, tin robots, levels, steam engines. And these are kind of the fancier ones that I've been keeping back for a bit. So there are quite literally thousands of items. Look at this. Just buckets full of original Matchbox toys in their boxes. Dinky toys and Corgi, and these are the monster figures that I got the other day. Those are going through. Lots of fountain pens and straight razors, and every single thing, every bag is just loaded full of stuff. Like, I kid you not, there's thousands and thousands of items. And I sound like I'm doing an ad here. I guess I'm just excited that all this stuff is going. Pocket watches aplenty. All these pocket watches. I really don't envy them for having to come and inventory all this stuff. But, if you feel like you need a Borneo area sort of fruitwood carved mask, well, there you go. That's a happy little guy to be wearing around the house. Or Simpsons arcade game, or the very first shooting gallery game. I've been busy. Oh, this is a neat piece. That's the Lord Nelson ship, the HMS Victory. And that's original photograph of it too. There are some things that I just have had around here forever that I just think are so cool. This is the door I was standing behind. But there's people out there shopping and stuff, so I'm not going to go bother them. But it's going to be a big sale is what I'm getting at. So they are inventorying, photographing, and getting stuff listed next week. So as soon as the auction goes live, I'll let you know. But I am actually feeling really good about it. It's going to be a 2-day sale to unload the majority of this stuff, and then I'll have to do a second sale to get rid of the more modern stuff. And we'll have to start. Joni's asking, are you going to advertise the sale? Yeah, I certainly plan on it. We have to do quite a bit of advertising. So it is going to be a big sale. Lake Frog says, what happens to all the unsold stuff? They will just run it through probably the next day until it does sell. I mean, everything's going no reserve, guys. So I mean, that means you could get, like I was telling somebody the other day, like I've got these great studio cameras, these great big, a Kodak Century and another one that are worth like $2,000-3,000 each. There's a possibility you could get it for $10 or $15. So everything's going no reserve. This is about, just moving forward. And I hope that some people get some really great deals. I also hope that we recover some of our money back that we spent on things. But what I find with the auction sale, and to answer somebody's question from earlier, they said, why didn't you just do like a 30 or 50% off sale at the store and blow everything out through that? And the simple answer for that is that if I sold everything at 50%, then I would be losing half my money, right? But when you do an auction sale, some things go quite a bit higher than you expected, while some things go a bit lower, and it balances out to getting exact retail. And I would much rather have full retail or close to it if I can out of some things, even if it means taking a loss on others. So that's it. And plus, it also is a bit more fair too. If there's multiple people who are interested in something, like I've got the Meerschaum pipe that, or any of the stuff that I have. So if anybody watching was interested in the giant tin plate battery operated wagon train, instead of me just putting it on sale at the store here and selling to somebody who might have wanted it out there in YouTube land, everybody watching will have a chance at it. And I think that's probably the best way to go. But guys, I am going to continue on with my day. I've got a few more errands to run. I've got a whole bunch more stuff to inventory, but stay tuned. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. But in life, sometimes it's okay to try something new, to try something different, and you're learning all along the way. I'm grateful for every experience I've had, including running this shop. Has been absolutely wonderful for our family and I, but I'm even more excited at what's going to come next. It would never even cross my mind that it could have been a possibility to renovate old buildings, and how much I would love that. That you can feel like an artist and a creator and really get out there and do fun stuff. So sometimes the dream you have changes because you're exposed to more you have more experiences, and that's what's happened with me. I've got a chance to try some different stuff, and I'm gonna try and go in directions that fill my heart with joy and bring me closer to my family. So stay tuned for more. It'd be a good time to sign up now at kauctions.ca if you don't have an account, if you're thinking about bidding. That way you can get your account all ready to go, and when the auction goes live, you can just bid. But guys, I will still be doing more episodes. There's still gonna be a lot going on. I hope this was somewhat informative for you as to what's going on. But I feel like I don't know where that expression comes from. I'm beating a dead horse. Who is gonna beat a dead horse? That doesn't seem right. Just like this expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Well, there shouldn't be more than one way. Just like you shouldn't beat a dead horse, but that's what I'm doing right now. So if anybody who was ever interested in knowing why I made the decisions that I did, hopefully this answered those questions for you. And you can go back and watch the video and be like, right, he seems happy. He's excited for new adventures. It's a good business decision, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So guys, have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all soon. Check out the auction soon. I'll post a video, a full tour of all the wonderful stuff that I'm surrounded by here that's going up for sale. That video will come. We'll do a preview video, and we'll go from there. So have a great day guys. I'll see y'all soon, and bye for now. Bye, guys.